It's Adam here for PC Monitors, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the OSD on-screen display menu system of the Dell U3415W. The OSD is controlled by touch-sensitive buttons, which are marked with these little blobs here at the bottom right of the monitor. If you press that first button there, you can see that a little sub-menu appears. That appears when you press any of these first four buttons here. First button there allows you to control the volume of the integrated speakers or a set of headphones connected to the 3.5mm jack. You can see that at all times that the function of each button is quite clearly labelled on the screen. Second button is a source select button. Allows you to select which input source is used by the monitor. Third button along allows you to access the main menu. Fourth button is simply exit, big red X there. And there's also a power button there, which is again touch sensitive. So the main menu is set out in Dell's usual modern style. You've got a little energy use bar at the top right there, and a number of different sections, quite spread out, the settings on Dell monitors, quite easy to navigate through. Everything's fairly self-explanatory. So the first section, brightness/contrast, does exactly what it says. Allows you to adjust the brightness and contrast of the monitor. Input source, again, what you'd expect. Colour, which allows you to change the input colour format, which should just be set to RGB for most users, definitely for PC users. There's a gamma setting. You can either select PC or Mac, and I believe Mac gamma essentially lowers the gamma. It's sort of an old Mac standard. Modern Mac operating systems can just use the same sort of gamma you'd use on a PC, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Just keep it set to PC, the default there. You can change the preset mode, which are discussed in the calibration section of the review. Because I'm recording this in the evening, I've got it set to my preferred low blue light setting, which is custom color 5000K. And you can reset the colour settings there. So that's just this menu that's reset if you select that option. Next there's display, and up here there's aspect ratio, which allows you to control how non-native resolutions are displayed by the monitor. And these are explored in quite some detail in the interpolation and scaling section of the review, but I'm just going to demonstrate how the monitor would handle the full HD resolution with these various settings. So I'll just switch the monitor to full HD, 1920 by 1080. Get back onto the menu. So at the moment it's set to aspect ratio wide 21:9, and with this resolution everything is stretched so that all of the pixels of the screen light up, but obviously there's a big mismatch between the actual resolution and the aspect ratio, so everything does look stretched. Not sure if you can see that on the video, but the icons look far wider than they should. The next option there is wide 16:9, which maintains the aspect ratio of your chosen resolution, so 16:9 in my case. So there's black borders there. But it does fill the entire vertical screen space, so there is a bit of interpolation used there for this resolution. There's auto resize, which essentially does the same thing, at least with this resolution it does. And there's one-to-one, which will respect not only the aspect ratio and the horizontal pixels, but also the vertical pixels. So you can see that there's a black border all around the image there. And the image is just displayed central with no distortion at all. So I will return the monitor to its glorious native resolution of 3440 by 1440. And get back onto the menu. So next there's a sharpness control, and that allows you to increase or decrease the sharpness in increments of 10 here, but I found that the default value of 50 was perfectly fine. In fact, I consider it optimal for this monitor. I know some people prefer things just slightly sharper or slightly softer. As a response time setting, again, there's two settings here, normal and fast, which are explored in the review. There's DP 1.2, which you should keep enabled unless your system doesn't support it, and that's basically just a compatibility option, so you can disable DP 1.2 if your system doesn't support it. There's a uniformity compensation feature which can be activated, and again that's explored in the review. Display info, which, as it says there, display monitor information. So that just gives you some basic information such as the current resolution that's being outputted, the refresh rate, whether picture by picture is enabled and what that's doing as well, what display port version is being used, and what the USB ports are doing, if anything. And again, there's an option to reset display settings, so that just resets all of these options on this menu. Next, there's picture by picture, PBP, which I'm not going to be able to show you properly. I've only got one PC connected, one source connected to the monitor. You can change various settings such as the sub-source that's used. So if you've got, say, a games console connected at the same time as your PC, you might use your games console as a sub-source. Or here I've actually got MHL, which means I could have a phone connected and have my phone on the screen at the same time, which is quite a neat little feature. And the various other settings that you can play around with there, but if you don't have multiple sources connected, it's a bit ugly, so I'm not actually going to show you that. There's USB selection here, and this monitor has two USB upstream ports. And the idea there is that you can have two devices, for example two PCs connected to the monitor at the same time, and you can use peripherals for each PC. So that's what the USB selection allows you to do. It allows you to choose which display input is used for each of the connected devices. So it makes a little more sense if you actually use it, and I'm not sure if the manual clarifies the setting a bit better there, but I don't have any USB devices connected myself at the moment, so I can't show you that, unfortunately. Audio next, and that allows you to change the volume. It allows you to change whether your main source or your sub-source, if you're using picture by picture, is used, and just reset the audio settings to default there. Next there's the energy menu, and one thing that allows you to do is to set how the power button lights up. So by default it's on during active. There's a little power LED there, a little white thing. It's not at all obtrusive. It's to be honest, I don't even notice it at all when I'm actually using the monitor. But if you do happen to find it distracting, or you prefer it to be off when you're using the monitor, you can set it so it is. There we go, it's disappeared. You can change the USB ports so that they're on even when the monitor's on standby. For example, if you were wanting to charge something, you might want that to charge even when you're not actually using the monitor, or you're not having the monitor turned on. Or you can save a bit of power by having them off during standby. And there's an option there to reset the energy settings menu. Next, there are some settings related to the menu itself, the OSD itself. For example, you can change the language that the OSD is displayed in. You can change the transparency effect, so you can make it more or less transparent. That's practically invisible at the 100 setting there, or you can, I quite like the default 20 myself. You can change the idle timeout period for the monitor OSD, so after this amount of inactivity the OSD will automatically disappear. I should really have set that a bit higher before I started this video so it didn't keep turning off on me. You can lock the OSD to perhaps stop younger family members from messing around with your settings, and you can reset the menu settings, so reset these particular options to the factory defaults. Next there's Personalize, so this is useful for changing what the first two shortcut keys do. So if you recall, early on in the video I showed you what happens when you just press the first button or the second button. You can quickly access the volume or the input source, but if you don't use the integrated speakers, or you'd rather control something like the brightness or contrast easily, then that's one thing you can do. And perhaps you don't regularly change the input source, but you might change the preset mode more frequently. And you can even have it so it sets a particular preset to you for you very quickly as well. So now, if I exit the menu and then press one of these buttons, you can see that the first one allows you to adjust the brightness and contrast, because that's what I set it to do, and the second one allows you to change the preset mode of the monitor, as I said. So, back onto the menu. Again, there's Reset Personalization, so that just resets these shortcut keys to the factory defaults, and I didn't mean to exit the menu there, but never mind. Others, the last bit of the menu, and that allows you to turn on this really annoying button sound, which fortunately is off by default. It really does my head in. It's not a pleasant sound, so I just leave that off. There's DDC/CI, and that's some plug and play functionality of the monitor. For example, it would let you use certain software to control the OSD as one of the features, and you generally just want to leave that enabled. There's an LCD conditioning feature, which is similar to what I've shown you on various other Dell monitors, and this allows you to get rid of minor cases of image retention. I didn't experience any image retention at all on this monitor throughout the review, so it's not something you should expect, but if for whatever reason you do happen to notice any small amount of image retention, you can make the monitor cycle through various colours. It'll fill the screen with these colours, and that'll hopefully get rid of your image retention. As I said, it's not something I worry about. It's I did various different things with the monitor, and I haven't noticed any image retention at all. And there is an option to reset these particular settings on the menu, or perform a full factory reset, so reset everything to the factory defaults. And I should also mention that there's a little thing here which tells you which source you're running with the monitor, so it's DisplayPort there, and it also tells you the resolution and refresh rate. So that's the menu system of the Dell U3415W. There's plenty more juicy details in the review. It goes into detail about other aspects of the monitor, not just the little menu system there. So you'll find that on pcmonitors.info.